Good. Really happy to connect with you to discuss the program that you've put together and potentially to bring this to Malaysia as well. So I have a few questions for you to introduce the program to people here in Malaysia. So my first question to you, what inspired you to, or maybe I should have started with an introduction of who's Peter. So let's start again. I'll just cut that. So maybe Peter, if you want to tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to create this certification on team psychological safety.
Thanks, Marie. Thanks for having me. So I am Peter Cavalier. I'm from Belgium originally, but I've been in Asia and in particular in Thailand for a very long time, for more than 30 years. So this is really where I worked and work, and I've developed my experience and network. So I did my PhD 10 years ago, and that's where I came across the concept of team psychological safety and was very fascinated about it and studied it, and it became an integral part of my PhD model research that I validated. And I also started to use the concept and the measurement, and we're going to talk about that, of team psychological safety with teams I work with teams in the corporate world that I work with. And I had some interesting results. And I started to talk about these results in conferences, mainly in Asia. And I got somebody who said, hey, this is really interesting. You should not just share the results, but maybe find a way to share the approach, the model, the theory behind it with other people. And that was the genesis of the program. I created it 5 years ago. And the idea was to help people who work with teams bring an additional tool that they can use to support the team, to measure the impact, etc., etc. So that's the story of how the program started, Marie.
Okay, and nice connection to my next questions, as I wanted to ask you, what are the specific skills and knowledge that participants can expect to gain by completing the TPS certification program?
So team psychological safety has become a mainstream term, mainly since 2016, when Google, the company Google, announced that they had, from their internal research, concluded that team psychological safety was the main driver of high-performance teams. So since 2016, beginning of 2016, a lot of people have started to talk about, write about, and even hype up, to some extent, the idea of team psychological safety. And by the way, mixing it up with just psychological safety in general. So the first thing participants will get from the program is back to basics, meaning back to the original theory. We stick in the program only to Amy Edmondson's model, because that's the only one that has been academically, through research, qualitative and quantitative, been validated. So the first thing is they will get a really in-depth understanding of what team psychological safety is and also what it is not. Then in terms of skills they will develop, well, because we're going to unpeel what team psychological safety is with the different elements, the different foundations, they will get a better look on how you actually impact team psychological safety by looking at one or more of the elements or one or more of the foundations. So it's a foundational framework that helps people who are interested to work with teams, I would say, deepen their methodology and therefore get a more impactful result with the team they work with.
Okay, interesting. Now, of course, I'm always interested to connect what you do with the cultural aspect inside, because as you know, for me, I always see culture as the foundation of any program that is done. So how do you think these skills will help participants to actually better lead diverse team and navigate cultural complexity?
Okay. So I know this question was going to come, so I thought about it, and here's a few reflections. Now, I am also a fan of culture in general. I've read all the works and I know what you do, and definitely they have their value. When we look at a team, though, we look at what? We look at 6 people, or 8 people or 10. Actually, that's another topic, but teams are hardly ever more than 10 people. So we talk about 6, 7, 8 people. Now, these people can come from different cultures. In many cases, they are. And the way each of them shows up in the team, interacts with others, of course, is impacted by their culture. But it's also impacted by their education, by their social upbringing, by their life experience, work experience. So I would say culture is there. It's within the members of the team. It's within the 6 or the 8 or the 10 members. We do not, in this model, we do not try to focus on culture in particular. We do not say, hey, he is from Malaysia and she's from Germany, so maybe that's how they are, because there's only so many people. They come to the discussion, the team dynamic with their background, and I mean it in a positive way, whatever it is, whichever elements are part of that. And what's important is for them and the others in the team to work better together. Yes, you can be Malaysian or German or French, but that's only one part of the puzzle, right? You can also be more a deductive thinker or an intuitive thinker, or you can be an action-oriented person or more of a reflective person. So people are complex, but the nice thing about, I think, a team is that there's only so many people. So if we can work with those people, 6, 8, or 10, I always use that, indication. It simplifies to a certain extent, although the individuals can be complex, but it simplifies that we only need to work with those particular people. We don't try to extrapolate to, they are from this country, they are from that country, therefore. So we kind of focus on the people. So I would say, yes, culture is there in the background. Obviously, nobody would deny that. But in the model, we don't bring it to the foreground. So it's part of how the members are, but it becomes an integral part of the team dynamic and how the team can work better, make better decisions, communicate better, etc. Okay. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense, but doesn't quite answer my question exactly. Because when you have a diversity and cultural diversity addresses all the topics that you said, it's the national culture, it is the different ways of approaching work, and as everything you mentioned to me falls into culture in a way. But when I talk about cultural complexity, cultural competencies is how as individual, we are able to connect, interact, solve problems, work better together with someone who has a totally different background. So in this, for me, when I look at team psychological safety, I feel that it provides an experimental ground, or it's a good tool to sharpen those skills. Be able to go and dig deeper. So that's where I was coming from. It's not about looking at the different nationalities, but really what skills am I going to learn from this program that will also actually help me be more sensitive to others.
Good. So let me add on to that a little bit. I mentioned the elements of team psychological safety. Actually, there's 7 elements. We won't list them here, but one of them is appreciation. Okay, the extent to which the members of the team feel valued and feel that they can bring their skills to the best use of the team. That's one example. Definitely, people from different cultural perspectives, whether it's national or the way they think or the way they've been brought up, will look at in a different way what it means for them to feel appreciated, right? Some people may appreciate to hear that they're appreciated every day. From other people, they might say, I want other ways to feel that appreciation. So that's an example of how, in a concrete way, this diversity would translate itself or be connected with the team psychological safety model. Just giving one example out of the 7 elements. So definitely it is a way for the members of the team and the facilitator who will help that team, right? Instead of thinking about something big and maybe complex like team psychological safety, if we start to look at the elements separately, you can much more easily translate that into what it means for you and what it means for the other people in the team, and therefore act on it.
Okay, I think that's what attracted me to your program in the first place, Peter, and where we were going. So clearly, I do see when you look at cultural competence, it's, as I said, the foundations, but then you need that kind of tools and what you have developed in order to give more concrete tools, maybe for people to address it rather than stay at a conceptual level, as we love to do in France and in Europe. So my next question is just to see, maybe you shared some example, but how have past participants really applied their learning in their organizations? Are there any examples that you can share with us of the impact that the program has had for people who attended the certification?
Yes, I don't know if I should have mentioned it before, but one of the key things I'm happy with about this program is, I mentioned already, it goes in depth and back to the origins of what the original research was. The second thing is, and that's part of the program, that's also who I am, and we get the confirmation from many people that it's practical. It's not about just understanding, but it's also how can you actually apply it. So in the program, we have, especially towards module 3 and 4 out of the 4 modules, it's really about how you can apply this framework with a particular team. And we have some templates and tools to help the participants look into a particular team, not in general, a particular team they're member of, or they work with, or they are a facilitator for, to try to look at the 7 elements and the 5 foundations and see how that situation looks like today and how they could impact them. And so, as part of the program also, that's why I give this introduction, every participant can use a free report within a year with any team they want to try it out with. So they will send me the names and I will create a specific link of an anonymous survey where they can then measure team psychological safety with a particular team. And then with the results, again, anonymous, it's very important, start to work with that team to say, look, here's how we're doing on appreciation, but here's how we're doing on another of the 7 elements, and work with the team. So I'm also always encouraging participants really to try it out at least once. And most of them do. We have a big program going in Brazil now. Most of the people do use their free report. I call it a free report. And then they work with the particular team. Now, not in every case I have feedback about what they do and what the result is, also because of the language gap. But we do collect testimonials. We do collect case studies, simple case studies, because teams, organizations don't always want to, open up too much about the business aspects of what they are doing. But we have at least 10 case studies in Thailand, in Ireland, and in Brazil. That's where we are working for now, where facilitators have implemented team psychological safety model, measured before and after, and seeing the impact. Typically, it's after 3 months, and with feedback from the participants of the program of how they thought the program helped the team to work better together. So I don't have any to share with you right now, but we actually regularly post some on social media. So we do have case studies and testimonials, and that's what it's all about. Because too many people talk about psychological safety as if it's the objective in itself. For me, it's not the objective. It's a tool, it's a model to help a team perform better. But ultimately, it's, can we help that team to perform better? And that's what we always emphasize in the program. That's why the only way to actually get the benefit of the program is to do it, to implement the tool, the measurement tool with a particular team they're working with.
So if I hear you correctly, the way the success can be measured both with the tool and see how psychological safety has improved in the team, while at the same time somehow measuring the KPIs and what was the objective that the team had to.
Exactly. It's there has to be a business objective. The objective is not TPS. The objective is maybe it's sales, maybe it's innovating faster, whatever. And in addition, I would say, Marie, there's a third indicator that I like to look at the success of the program is to have verbal feedback from participants. And very often it's, well, we never had discussions like this. People are used to work in a team, and they work very hard even, but it's very rare that they spend some time to reflect on the team itself. How are we doing as a team? What is going well? What can we do better? How do you like to make decisions, what works for me, etc., etc. So very often there is, in addition, qualitative feedback about this has really deepened the discussions in the team and therefore strengthened the sense of team that people have.
I had a question which kind of escaped my mind, but another connection I can see with the TPS in how you define it around question. It's also how close it is to the principle of action learning. So anything you can share more on how the two are connected?
Well, very much so, because officially this is not a program about action learning, but as you and I know well, that's something else we have in common. Using the Weil World Institute for Action Learning method. I have used the Weil Action Learning method pretty much as long as I have been working with the TPS model. And yes, in the work I do, now that's not a condition, but it's just my case, I often use action learning as part of my work with a team. So I would measure TPS before. I would do a number of action learning sessions on real business issues, on real things that need to improve in the company, in the team, and then measure TPS again. And I've always had very rewarding results, both again at the 3 dimensions. First of all, solving the problem, making progress on the challenge that the team has been assigned with. Secondly, the qualitative feedback of the team to work in this kind of dynamic with action learning, which deepens understanding, deepens listening, etc. And thirdly, yes, every time we saw a clear increase in TPS, in the level of TPS in that team. And I've actually published some of those results in an article that you could share to your listeners if you want to. So action learning, I don't say it's the only way. I do know for a fact that it's a very meaningful way to impact team psychological safety, in addition to the benefits that action learning brings.
Okay. Now I'm back to my initial questions. When you shared earlier, it went two trails in my mind. The other one, when you were saying that your participants do acknowledge that they've never had that kind of discussion, I feel that's often when I see in teams, but teams organization, because their KPI is so important, because they need to show results, they do not take the time to analyze why aren't we getting the results we want.
Right.
And hence looking at team psychological safety, it's helping see what are we missing in order to get where we.
Very much. Often when a team is faced with a problem, just like in everything, also when an individual is faced with a problem, we're very tempted to jump into action. Oh, we could do this, or we haven't done that yet. And just like we mentioned action learning before, it's slowing down first just a little bit to go faster. And if the team can really understand how they connect with one another or connect not so well, and try to work on that, the impact on the team, the way the team learns, the way the team deals with challenges, and therefore the team performance will gain a great benefit from taking that time. And I don't mean like stepping aside for a month, right? That is not realistic, but just taking the time to reflect on this as a team, what is going well, what is not going well, unpeeling the different elements of team psychological safety. There's always elements in every team that we're doing pretty well. We're doing pretty well when it comes to this element, but maybe we're really struggling with this or that element. And focusing on those elements has a great impact on team psychological safety, and then the way the team moves forward with its challenges. Okay,
exciting to bring this here.
Good.
So one last question, two last questions. So I know that the program is going global at this moment. So can you share a little bit, because I think that's important when we go through, particularly now with organizations that have impact or presence in many different countries. How has this been received at a global level, and what are the plans for the future there?
Good. So the program started 6 years ago, and it was just myself delivering it first face-to-face in Thailand. Then, of course, with COVID, it became online. That kind of opened up the scope to more wider audience, but all that was mainly people from my network. And then 3 years ago, we had 2 participants from Brazil who really loved just like you, Marie, who just loved the model, thought it was really meaningful. And they started to bring the program to Brazil, of course, with my agreement, and everything in Brazil is Portuguese. So it's not a market I can work with anyway. And after 3 years, they've done an excellent job. They've created a great network of participants who've completed the program. They have a great dynamic with group chats, etc., etc. They run the program very regularly, and that inspired me to say, there's a great interest in Brazil, and it has a lot to do with the 2 women who promote it in an excellent way. But also, what about other countries? So I started to reach out to people who have gone through the program before and from who I knew they were really interested. They said, wow, this is meaningful. And when we speak, we already started up in the States, in Thailand, in Vietnam. We have discussions with you, Marie, from Malaysia. The same is going on for the Philippines, also the UK, France, and Poland. And I think that's it for now. So the idea is really to bring this. It's a quality program, if I can say so myself, to really bring it to as many countries as possible with a more local presence, because I think sometimes there's value to have also the local, aspects become part of the program. Your experience in Asia, in Malaysia, your bicultural backgrounds, everything. Every partner that I start to work with brings additional meaning and value to the program. So right now, let's say we have 4 or 5 countries, but I hope by the end of this year, it'll be more like 10. And that would be a good start for this year. And then we can see how we build on that in the future.
Yeah. So potential also as a certified TPS coach, I don't know what term you're using. It's also access to a global network where you can share experience and own your skills around that, which is also coming back to culture and diversity. That's the added attraction for me. So last question, are there any prerequisite requirement for anyone who would like to enroll in the certification program?
None at all. None at all. I would say, of course, but that's not even a prerequisite. I think it's obvious. An interest in teams, and an interest in how can we make teams better, and a belief in teams. That's my fundamental belief, that we can do so much more with teams than we are currently achieving. But that's about it. The rest is no prerequisite. It often interests facilitators, coaches, trainers, but also people in corporate who say, I'm a team leader now. Maybe I'm just a new team leader, or maybe I've been a team leader for 10 years and I don't really know how to help my team move further. So the program is open for everybody. We've had a wide range of participants from all cultural backgrounds, all age groups, all professional orientations. So it's a little bit a long way to answer no prerequisites.
All right. And that's also what makes the program really valuable, because it attracts people from all these different backgrounds. It helps us look at, talking from a participant's perspective, it really opens up our world and looking at how things are done in many different walks of life and different setting, corporate, institutional, NGOs as well. So that was
and I think if I can add, Marie, like you probably remember yourself, a great part of the program is the exchange also with the other people in the same group, because they will come from different companies, different experiences, and you can see that they all connect very well with the model. They have different inputs or suggestions or questions, and that really enriches the program. The fact that we have people in the same cohort from different backgrounds, that really is something participants always appreciate, the exchange within the groups.
Yeah, and it did help me connect with a few people after the after the certification.
Exactly.
So that was great. So thank you very much, Peter, for sharing on this program.